comic creators, artists, writers, world builders, this is your call to action. Here at Talkin Comics, we love diving into the stories behind the stories. Whether you're just starting out or you've been in the game for years, we want to hear your journey, your creative process, and what fuels your imagination. So, ready to talk comics with us? Message us or hit the link in our bio and be a guest on Talkin Comics. Welcome to Talkin Comics. We have Mike Alger with us today. So before we jump into the comics, tell us about yourself.
Well, thanks for having me, first of all. Name's Mike Alger. For all intents and purposes, I am the guy behind Dork Arts Comics and the characters and stories I try to tell within that little universe that I'm trying to expand, bit by bit. And hopefully, I'm trying to have a little bit of fun while doing it.
Heck yeah. I like that. So your comic, I got to read, you sent me the trade paperback and a bunch of other pictures and stuff. I got to read the first story in the trade paperback. That was, I really enjoyed that. It was talking about, some just this, I don't know what is he called, like what do you call him? He's not a machine. He's a person, right?
Yeah. So you read Burn Unit, my guy.
Right. Yeah.
My guy Bernie. Yeah, he's not a machine. So like he's essentially he's the first character I created in that world. And he's essentially like this big lava rock, like he is human, and like I haven't gotten into like how he ended up that way, very sort of like a tragic hero sort of thing, and I haven't gotten into like how he ended up that way, but he's like essentially like this walking lava rock, and he has this suit on him, not necessarily to protect himself from other people, but more so to protect other people from him because of like the heat that his body radiates. And so it's more so for them than it is for him, and that's kind of the design that I was going with. And you know that's who Bernie is. And the first story, is like basically a big flashback around, and like it's him in therapy talking about, his experiences and this sort of reluctancy to like be this sort of heroic character and this heroic person, and do something about these things that are going on. And even though he kind of wants to be left alone and doesn't necessarily like feel good about himself right now, and like him dealing and working through that.
I really enjoyed the back and forth throughout the story between like the therapist and Bernie, right? Is that
that's what I call him. Yeah.
The dialogue back and forth between them throughout the whole issue was fantastic. And then, like I said, it was like a flashback.
I appreciate.
I like that a lot.
Thank you.
It's got to be very relatable to somebody that's wanting to go to therapy or start therapy. Like it's like he's going through all those emotions of wanting to start and the scare, being scared to start and stuff. It was I thought that was very relatable. I thought it was very cool.
Thank you.
So go into that. What was the inspiration behind that?
But behind Bernie, or behind like the whole so
your whole idea? Yeah.
So
because you told me you like to incorporate a lot of those kind of elements in your stories.
Yeah, I mean, so like in my day world, in my real world, I am a therapist, so like I do this stuff with people every day, and I have been functioning as a clinician, a therapist in one form or another for almost the last 15 years. But I've also been a huge comic nerd like all my life, and like I loved reading them and just absorbing as much as I could. And then I got into playing an online video game, DC Universe Online. And,
Okay.
and that's where I sort of made the first burn unit, the first Bernie, and make this character, throw him into these worlds with all these other people playing their characters. And then you get into the forums and you start reading like fan fiction, and you start writing your own and working through all of that. And then that got me back into reading comics on a regular basis. And then I ended up picking up this little 3-issue Batman miniseries, and I remember reading it, and I'm like, this is like Batman doesn't talk like this. Like this is just like way too wordy for a Batman story. And I was just kind of like, did Alan Moore write this? Like, what happened? Like, it's just like so densely worded, and I was like, I could write a better story. That, and then like I was like, oh, wait a minute, people make their own stuff all the time. And so I started like kind of writing this little story about this my character, and then trying to find an artist, and because like I couldn't draw worth a lick at that time. We're going back probably like 12 years ago or something. Like I couldn't draw worth a lick. And trying to find someone, ended up connecting with this one person, and they kind of flaked out on me a little bit before anything really got off the ground. And then I was just like kind of taking, Thanos at the end of that post credit scene, just like, fine, I'll just do it myself. And I taught myself how to draw, learning the fun, like some of the basics, and just practice, getting better at it. And then started putting together pages, penciling and inking. And I use that word sparingly because those first pages were not, they exist. And then it just, okay, then I was trying to find a colorist, and like, somebody to like put this stuff together. And I'm like, well, I mean, I've done this much. Like, let me just like, so like, then the goal became, can I just make a comic start to finish? Like, can I just, from here, can I get a physical book in my hand that I did? And got a tablet, got a program, learned, taught myself it. And then I did the first burn unit book, had some characters that I was kind of playing around with and figuring out like, okay, what do I want to do? Like what stories do I want to tell? And like I like the idea of like, okay, you can lift a bus over your head, you can shoot fire from your hands, or I have other characters like Sydney, she's my monster hunter girl. Adrian, he's my wizard, my sorcerer, if John Constantine wasn't a jerk. Um, and then Anne, kind of like my uh, you know, kind of the psionic of the group, but like, and she's in a band, and but it's like she doesn't fit in because her abilities sort of like make her feel like I can't really connect with people. And so there's all these elements of like I can do these things, but like at what cost? And you know how do I actually feel about this? And like the idea of like working through those things, and coming to terms with it, accepting it, learning how to channel it, in ways that are, helpful and productive for you. Like I just kind of like those ideas, but also being able to laugh, like, little snarky comments, or like just this element of like humor between the characters and the people they're interacting with, and just being able to laugh at some things. I like to put those things in there in the stories as well, because it's comics, and it's supposed to be fun, right?
Yeah, you got to have the fun in it, right?
Yeah.
So go.
you said you got a tablet, so do you do all you so you do the art digitally? What
Uh,
software are you using?
I was using Krita initially just because it was free, and that kind of helps. And I liked Krita. I liked it a lot. I did the first two books on Krita, and then I switched over to Clip Studio Paint. And
Clip Studio. Okay.
I just love Clip Studio Paint. I would recommend Krita for anyone who is looking to get started. It functions very much like Photoshop. Can do a lot of the
Done
same
a lot of
things.
Photoshop.
Can do a lot of the same things as Photoshop, but it's free. Um,
Right. It's free.
yeah, I liked Clip Studio just because it was built more for comics, like in mind.
Okay.
And just the assets and the tools that are built into it and that you have access to. Like I very much enjoy Clip Studio. And so like yeah, I pencil my pages on, Bristol board, like on my illustration board, and then I'll scan them and then I'll digitally line them and ink them and color them and letter them all in Clip Studio.
Very cool. I'm in the process. I created this whole panel Pete character.
Yeah.
Got the hat and t-shirt. Um, Merch available. No, got to get my plug in. Check link in description. Um, but I started writing actually. Over the last few weeks of doing these interviews, I've been inspired, right? And I created this character more as a mascot for the podcast, right?
Hey.
Just to have some fun with, and for the thumbnails and stuff on socials. But I was like, this character is endless, like endless possibilities. So I actually wrote like a page and a half worth of a script the other day. So I'm going to try to flesh it out and create a
Nice.
panel Pete comic book. But I don't, yeah, like you, I'm okay. Like I'm not good at hand drawing. I do a lot of graphic design stuff. Like most of everything that he is right now is all graphics,
Okay.
just assembled graphics, in Canva. Um, but I don't know. I've been looking for an artist. But it's hard to find one. So
Right.
I don't know. It's if I'm going to do it myself, I don't think I want to do it myself. I want to try to have somebody else draw it, but we'll see. We'll get there eventually.
Right.
So what does it look like for you? Like, do you sit down? Like, what do you need with you? What's your rituals when you start creating or drawing?
Um, well, if I'm penciling like a page, like if I'm just sketching stuff out and laying out panels or pages, I'll depending on if I'm at home, I have a table I sit at. Um, I like to put on like documentaries. Like there's like a Jack Kirby documentary that I like listening to on YouTube, just because in some way I feel like it helps me channel the mastery that is Jack Kirby.
Jack Kirby, right?
you
Yeah,
know, and
100%.
like I will listen to that, and I've listened to it 1,000 times, and I will listen to it 1,000 more, just because like it just, I don't know, it just puts something in the air to me. I also like watching that new Mike Mignola documentary on Amazon, Drawing Monsters. Like I like listening to
Okay,
that. And then but like so like I try to put something on comics related, just to like, if nothing else, for this kind of like background noise. And it puts some sort, I don't know, for me it feels like it puts some creative energy like in the air. And some of my favorite pages I've drawn, like I can look at it and go like, oh, I was listening to the Jack documentary, I was listening to the Mike, I don't know, just something about it. Um,
yeah,
and then if I'm inking or if I'm coloring, like again, I have my table and I'll set up my my tablet or whatever, and similar thing. If I can, I'll put something on, or like if my daughter is watching something on TV, I'm 10 feet from her. If my wife's doing something, like I'm right there, and it's easier for me to like hit the save button and like just go if they need to do something, or if we got to go somewhere, I can walk away from it a lot easier than
Right.
if I'm penciling or whatever. So I try to pencil by myself, like when I have time for myself, but the coloring, the lettering, I can just kind of come back to in and out.
Come back to. Yeah. What's the biggest creative challenges you faced?
Uh, Getting over self
Probably
doubt,
learning.
self
Yeah.
doubt, because I've just started doing shows the last couple of years, and I mean I've gone to shows a
Oh,
lot.
like so you're like you have a booth at a
Yeah,
convention or something.
I'm
Okay,
actually,
cool.
tomorrow, Friday, I'm actually tabling at Terrificon at the Mohegan Sun Casino in Connecticut here.
Okay.
The
So you're in Connecticut.
Yep, it's a
So that's on my bucket list I have to go. So I'm trying to hit all 50. It won't happen this year. It's going to get close.
you'll get there,
I'm at
you'll
like
get there.
40. I'm at 46 at the moment. So, or no, 45. I'll be at 46 at the end of the month. I'm going to Alaska at the end of the month. So, um, but weirdly enough, I grew up in upstate New York and I've been to New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine.
Okay.
But weirdly enough, I've never been to Massachusetts, Connecticut, or Rhode Island. So I have to do that little loop. So I can't go this weekend, but it'd be awesome if I could. You'll have to keep me posted on your shows and I'll tie a show into that
Absolutely.
trip.
Absolutely. Yeah. Terrificon, it's this weekend, it's the 10-year anniversary of the show.
Sweet.
And oddly enough, Terrificon was the first show I ever went to as like a patron.
Okay.
And I've met a lot of like just amazingly talented people there and had a lot of really great experiences at that show just as a patron.
Mm-hmm.
And now, 10 years later, I'm tabling at it with alongside a lot of those same people. And, but then like in shows, like there are shows that say Comic Con in the title, but having been to some of them, they're more, and nothing against it, but like they're more like pop culture.
Pop culture events. Yeah.
But Terrificon is still very much like a comics focused, comics creators, writers, people like very much focused still on comics. So, and people that I know who have done that show have said like, yeah, you have to do this show. Like it's just it's a really great one to do, and then seeing the guest list at that show and like, okay, I'm gonna be in the same room with like some guy named Kevin Eastman, some other dude named like Mark Silvestri, like I don't know, maybe you've heard of him, I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard those names.
Like two of my favorite artists, and I'm like, I am at the same show with these people. Like, what god did I please? Like, what
Right. That's
happened?
awesome.
So it's I'm really looking forward to this weekend, and I'm I know I'm gonna get worked up, but like as I get settled, I know I'll be okay. And you
Right.
know,
So the original question to that started was like, the challenge of that. So like what was it like when you went to your first convention?
tabling,
Or yeah, go well, yeah, right.
like
Tabling,
tabling.
having a booth or
Yeah, my first show that I tabled at was Rhode Island Comic Con back in 2021. Right after like COVID stuff got lifted a little bit. And I did that one because it like that show was very like personal to me in terms of like people I've met, experiences I had, and like getting things stuck in my head of like, no, you can do this. And like it's just kind of getting over like the challenge is like getting over that self doubt of like, okay, because like you're in a room and like there are some like legit professionals in that room and like amazingly talented people. And, you know, it's like getting over the idea of like, you know, okay, you don't have to be that to be good. Like, you know, just because you can't do that doesn't mean you're not good. And it doesn't
Right.
mean that your work doesn't have less of a value. You know, and it's just kind of getting over that like voice of like, you know, that negative self-talk, that, you know, that feeling of like imposter syndrome, like, you
Right.
know, and just that like, you know, trusting your stuff and trusting and understanding what you're doing and why you're doing it. And, you know, like I'm not a guy that is just trying to sell pretty pictures. You know, like I want to tell stories, and I know the stories I want to tell, and I'm trying to tell, and learning how to do that better with each one. You know, so just kind of like learning from the mistakes you made, you know, previously, because you're going to make them. You know, you're going to make mistakes, and just learn from them.
So what's one of the mistakes you made that you learned from?
Like creatively.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. We don't have to go back into like life or anything.
Oh, okay, all right. 'Cause I made a lot of
We don't have to go back to like,
mistakes.
well, when I was 9 years old. No, we don't have to go there.
So
Trying to start a podcast but feeling stuck? At Aquadio, we help creators make waves with everything you need to bring your voice to life. Hosting, recording, editing, and marketing. Whether you're starting from scratch or just need a little help polishing your sound, we're here to hydropower your creativity. Comment on this video or DM us today and let's dive in.
in my first book, in the first Burn Unit book, I didn't understand how to stack and organize my layers effectively, like to create the finish that I wanted. And I also didn't understand opacity. And so like the colors were like very saturated and heavy and muddy because I didn't understand opacity.
Yeah,
Um,
opacity's awesome.
oh yeah, and it's really important in the coloring process. And you know, and then I figured that out. And then with the well, the opacity was the first one, layer order and stacking was the second one, and just kind of putting things in certain you know order so that it looks the way you want it to look, and that it looks like it's not just a bunch of stuff stacked on top of each other. The third book was the Adrian Hodges book. He's like, again, he's my sorcerer wizard guy. That one I was trying to pay attention to like the lettering, you know, like, you know, not so that it just doesn't look like a sticker thrown over, you know, an image, and like making sure it fits with the tone of the scene, what you're using it for, the coloring, so that it looks like it belongs there. And then and my fourth book, you know, like paying attention to like you know, kind of just taking all the mistakes from those previous three books and like making sure I just didn't make them in this one. And and then so like I like those four I did. And then I had a book, a little short one, a little 8-pager I did called Cannoli Girl, and that one was fun to do. It was just like, you know, a way to like pay homage to like all those like cheesy comic tropes and stuff like that, and with this character who has no superpowers whatsoever, you know, and just this comedically large cannoli that she fights crime with. And then you know, I did that. The one I just finished was this book of like little comic strips of this character, Finn Ankles. He's like this personified cat that like drinks too much and runs his mouth and gets himself in trouble. And I'm trying to like play around with like the coloring style and like make it not so rendered and polished and make it look like, you know, a little bit more comic strippy, you know, and just trying something different. I mean, all these characters exist in the same world with each other and cross over in some places, and um, but like, just learning from mistakes and learning how to do a little bit better and remembering to have fun with it all, and hopefully somebody likes it.
Yeah, I mean, they seem really good. I did see some of the Mr. Fisk's, the cat one. I saw some of those images that you sent me. Those were pretty funny.
Thank you.
Um, well, that was one of my next questions. So it's all one big kind of world universe. Like, do you have any like Easter eggs that go into like homages to the old issues, or
um
any
yeah,
fun stuff like that?
like, do I? Yeah. In the first book, like some of the little Easter eggs, like I put a picture of like one of my dogs in the background. Like I drew a little picture of one of my bulldogs, or some of the addresses and stuff like that, or like, composites of places I've lived. And, there's references in like some of the books I've made to like the X-Men, and like, like the therapists, like, special academy for like gifted kids. But like, not that like the X-Men exist in my world, but the comics exist in my
Okay.
world. Um, I've, stuff like that. Um, uh, Finn, the cat character, and Sid have this, you know, uh, dynamic between each other, because like he owes her money from like, stuff, and he doesn't pay up on his debts. And he actually came into existence because he was just this background character that I had in a drawing that I did of her. And I always liked him, and I was like, okay. And I put him there to like kind of suggest that like she exists in a world where these not human things exist. But I kept going back and looking at him for years, and I'm like, I got to do something with him. And through a series of events, I came up with a name for him and started drawing these little silly strips, and it was just fun. And you know, and it just took on a life of its own. And Cannoli Girl and Bernie cross over in her comic, and the trade paperback has all those first issues of all those characters, and then there is this, how many pages was it? Like a 8 or 12 page story of all of them kind of coming together to fight this common fight.
Is that in that trade?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And
I'll have to you sent me the copy of that, so I want to get it or
yeah,
look at it.
and you know, looking at, again, being a therapist in my day job, like looking at what I started doing, I'm like, oh, like there's elements of like Gestalt therapy in this, of like these four characters all represent some part of me, not to like, but like they all represent some aspect of me. And then it's like taking these segmented, fractured pieces of yourself and bringing it together, in, this whole entity, and I think in some ways, like this whole comics thing has been this massive exercise in self care for myself, not to be redundant or whatever, but like this idea of like what started out as a hobby and this little time killer thing turned out to be something very fulfilling to me. And, in this exercise in self care that I preach to people on the daily.
Right.
And I got to start taking my own advice. And, but also like,
All
yeah,
right. I
having
have to ask this.
good.
Have you ever given your book to a patient
Um,
or recommended it to a patient?
no, no.
No? Okay.
They like a lot of my clients, like the ones that I've seen for a long time, like they know I draw, and they know that
Okay.
I make stuff, and that I have an interest in, in comics, because I have comic artwork, up on my walls. And but like I've never given it to them, and I've never recommended it to them. Not only because like I don't like I'm still trying to, it's a confidence thing for me, but it's also like, nah, this is crossing over too much. Like, no.
Right. Okay. I didn't know if that was going to cross the line or something, but I could see that being something you could do. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they know I do it and they know that I enjoy it, but I've never I've never recommended it and I've never like given one to them.
Hey, that's all right. So, what is one thing that people don't realize when making comics at this level? Like one thing you wish you knew before when you started.
That, you know, uh it's not just making it. Like it's this you have to let people know you're doing it. Like cuz making comics is a very solitary thing. It's like this sort of like I don't want to say isolating feels too like not feels too heavy, but it's something we do.
It was like what you don't want or people to realize that are starting out. Like one thing you wish you knew when you started.
Yeah, like it's like that you got to promote it in some way. You got to like, cuz again, making comics is this solitary thing. Like we kind of do it alone at a table, in a room, and you draw it, you color it, you letter it, and you make it. That's awesome. That's half the battle, and but then you got to let people know that you're doing it. And I suck at that part of it. Like I am terrible.
The marketing's
I
hard for
am
everybody.
so bad at it. Like I make these comics and it's like I let some people know I'm doing it, but like you have to like, it's important to go to shows. It's important to do podcasts and let people know that you're doing it. And as much time as you make for the drawing, the inking, the coloring and all that stuff, you also have to let people know that you're doing it, you know? And that, is something I wish I knew more. Like, I wish I knew how to do earlier and how to make time for like earlier, because,
Right.
and those things take time and it's hard to balance the time between doing that and, having a family, having a business and, and those things obviously are priorities and like, just
Right.
carving out a little bit of time here and there to go to shows, to talk to people and let people know that you're doing it so that they can, look into it, read it, come see you, do those things.
That's something. Yeah, we're doing. The same thing. I've been kind of in that world. I used to own not a comic shop, a hobby shop.
Okay.
Where I sold board games, card games, but then we would do shows, and then I did accessories where I made accessories for miniature games, and we'd go to shows. But you have to do those
Yeah.
things to like get the word out and get the thing out, and that's something with this podcast. We want to start doing shows. We're gonna go to one like local one this weekend, just as a patron. But I do want to start doing booth tabling, like you said.
Right on.
Have a booth table,
Yeah.
spread the word on the podcast, and then hopefully I'll have my own comic to sell eventually if I finish writing it. And but yeah, that's the hardest part is marketing, and then the social media.
Yeah.
You're every day I'm posting stuff, to try to spread the word.
Yeah, and
so
it becomes
I mean, that's how I found you, or you found me.
right.
So
And it becomes like, it becomes like a little, I mean, job in a way, like a little like, like because
right.
it's work to like put it out there, promote it, talk about it. It takes a lot of work.
And not be scared what people say. Like, who cares?
Hmm.
There's going to be haters. There's going to be lovers of it. So,
Right.
just just do it, as Nike says.
Right. And I remember this
So,
documentary from I saw on Todd McFarlane, and he said something in the documentary that kind of mirrors what you just said. He was like, once you understand and accept that not everybody's going to like your stuff, you're free to do whatever you want. And I heard that, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I think Todd McFarlane knows what he's talking about.
I think so.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he's done a couple
yeah.
things. I really am enjoying the Deadly Tales of a Gunslinger series that's going on right now.
Yeah.
It's so good. So good. Oh man. So which character of yours is your favorite?
I mean, it's hard not.
I won't tell him, I promise.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Who's my favorite child?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody hit me with that one. They're like, "Oh, I can't pick. Which one's your favorite kid?" 'Cause I have two daughters.
Right.
And I'm like, "Okay, touche, fine." You know.
I love them all for different reasons.
Exactly.
I mean,
Love them all equally.
I mean, it's hard not to say Bernie just because, like, he was the first one. He was the one that kind of like jumped all this off. And I think of the personalities and quirks and idiosyncrasies that, I try to give my characters, I think he's the one that is closest to who I am and the closest to who I am trying to be, or the things that I am personally like working on in my life. He's probably the closest to me out of all of them. Um, so I mean, I would probably say him. Um, in my professional life, probably a little bit more Sid, more Sid, a little bit more Adrian in some ways. But personally, Bernie is probably like the closest to me out of all of them.
What do you want readers to feel like when they read your issue? Like, what do you want them to walk away with when they read your comics?
Okay. I thought I knew how I was gonna answer this stuff.
Yes, I still tripped him up.
Yeah, all right. Still got it.
Yeah.
Probably that, like, I don't know, like, it's okay to not be okay sometimes. That you're not always gonna be 100%, and that's okay, and it's okay to, like, be a little down. It's okay to talk about these things too. Like, these are not like these, deep, dark secrets that we have to hold on to, and that there are people out there and places that you can turn to like air it out, to get some help and not feel like you have to carry it all by yourself.
That's been, I love that. I don't know. You said you watched some of the episodes that I've done, and it's always this. It always comes to this kind of stuff, and I'm loving that this is part of the community that's coming out and must need to be coming out, because this topic gets brought up a lot in these episodes. But I love what you said. It's okay, and I've heard it a lot. It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
I've told myself that over the last 6 months, probably 100 times. And it's okay.
Yeah.
Not everybody's gonna have a great day every day.
No.
No. And I thought, and that's what made me ask that question about, if you ever given it to one of your customers. They are customers, but your patients.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I really felt that through the whole reading that, the Bernie issue is, the dialogue back and forth and him facing the fear of going and, starting, and like, man, I could see how that could relate and help so many people, and it's almost like that is your marketing for your day job.
Yeah. Yeah. In a lot of ways,
whether they come see you or not,
right.
But
in a lot of ways, that's kind of why I drew some of the stuff the way that I did, because like Bernie's this like big 8-9 foot walking lava rock, and that's why I drew him like splayed out like on the couch, and he's like engulfing the whole. But like, even when he met like the therapist for the first time face to face, it's like, here's this giant thing, and he's like, like this tiny little therapist, and he's just like, hi, like, how's it going? And like he's
Right.
nervous and he's uncomfortable and working through that, and like, okay, yeah, like, again, here's this entity, here's this character who can lift a car and tear a car in half and do these things, but like having to and do it like without any real effort, but then to like sit and talk about like that he feels like a freak, and that's the hard part, and like, you can do these things, but like, okay, but like, what is that to you?
Who's your dream collaborator?
I, anybody that knows my me as like a comics nerd, like if I could do anything with Sam Keith,
Okay.
just because like
What did he do?
he did the Max,
Okay.
he was part of that second iteration of the Image world.
Okay.
And Sam Keith, he worked for Marvel, he worked for DC. Most people probably know him from the Max at Image Comics, and like I think that was 94 or 96. I saw it on the stands when like Image came out. I saw Spawn. I saw these things on the stands, but I was like a little bit too young to like really get it. I was still like going through the dollar bins, like looking for the Iron Man and stuff like that, um,
Right.
and I was just too young to like really get it, and I was almost a little intimidated by it. But then when I went back and like got it and read it, and like just his style, there's like this cartoony element to it, which I try to like, you know, poorly emulate. Like I am not nearly the ink slinger that Sam Keith is. But like I try to like, his page layouts, like, and just do something non-traditional, and these things that are sort of like panels and pages, but it's an image unto itself. And but also like if you read that Max series, there is a lot of like psychology to it. Like there is like, the book is not about the Max. The series is actually about Julie, the girl who's like the other main character, and like her working through her trauma and her, stuff. Um, but so like because of his art style, the nature of like his storytelling, like I would give my drawing hand to do something like with him.
So I didn't ask this earlier, but when we were talking about the creating process, so you do all the artwork yourself, but you also write them yourself. So what is how do you write your script first? Like, what do you do first? Do you write your script first? Do you just write a story first? How does that work?
Like writing feels like a very generous term. Give me a lot of credit that like I don't know. So like the way that I write, so like I have the characters, and it's like, okay, I kind of think about it in the sense of like animation in a way. And like so I have like a start frame, and like this is what I want to show at the start. And like I have the start of the story, I have that first frame, that first page in mind, and like what I want to show on that page. And then I know that I want to get from here to this other keyframe, and it's like, okay, how do I fill in the gaps between this page and this in a way that makes sense? And a lot of the ways that I like, in terms of the stories I try to tell, like I think about like who these characters are in terms of their personality, their struggles, and like what are they trying to work through. And then like a lot of like I listen, like anybody else, I listen to a lot of music, I listen to things, and I'll hear a line in a song, and because music, like any other art form, is meant to elicit a response in us. And like I'll hear a line, I'll hear something, and I'm like, oh, that is what I'm trying to convey with this character. That's what I'm trying to convey in this character and in this story. And like, I write those lines down, and then taking that approach of like, okay, here's the first part of the story. Here's the first page I want to show. Here's the sixth page I want to show, and here's what I want to see on this scene. And like, how do I fill in the gaps between those in a way that makes sense, that feels like authentic to the character, that and I repeat that process over 24 or 30 pages at a time.
That keyframe is a excellent analogy for that. Because when I was writing my page and a half, I wrote the other, like you said, writing is a generous term. When I was typing a page and a half of words, I kept going back and forth between telling writing a story and writing a script.
Yeah.
Like what I wanted to see on like this page versus, okay, but I'd go a little bit on the page and be like, all right, well, I want this to happen. But then I was like, well, what does that look like in the world, like in my mind? So like, okay, so I go up here and I'd start writing just a story about that, right? A few sentences. And I'm like, oh, but then I want it to look like this. I'd go back down. It says like back and forth. And then I would get an idea like, well, this actually should come first. So let me add this up here. And it's like, oh man. So I'm looking forward to this like 6-hour plane ride I'm about to be on in a couple weeks to Seattle. Because I'm going to use that 6 hours to type.
Yeah.
So that's my goal.
There you go.
All right, cool. What advice do you have for aspiring creators? Like myself.
I am going to have to quote Mike Doherty on this. This is a guy, Mike Doherty is an artist that I got to meet at Rhode Island Con back in 21, and somebody that I look up to a lot from being at shows with him. And, I owe a lot to him getting my butt in gear to like, I went to Rhode Island Con, and I'm going to answer the question. I promise. I'm going to.
No, you're fine. Take your time. Unless you've got somewhere to go, I've got more time.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Okay. I was at Rhode Island Con in 21, and 17. I'm sorry, 17. And I was looking for some panels to go sit at and listen to, and there were these guys that were, essentially carnival barking because there was this impromptu panel that got thrown together on indie comics publishing and stuff like that. And Mike Doherty was part of it. I didn't know him at the time, but he was part of this panel. And, they're talking about indie creation, whether it's comics, novels, movies, stuff like that, just doing it yourself. And, all really good information and stuff like that. And then like any other panel, there's Q&A time, where you get to ask questions. And I nervously stood up and, was like, at that point, I think I had only 3 pages inked of the first Bernie book. And I was like, what would you tell someone that wants to be down on the floor behind the tables and like, but doesn't feel like they can do it as well as other people are doing it down there? Because, you have some just phenomenally talented people down there. And everybody gave, really good answers. And then, they turned it over. They were, Mike, got to Mike, and he said, I would tell him, show up and finish something. He was like, and he went on to talk about like, you go, you talk to people and you ask them what they're doing, and like, oh, I have this idea for this story, and it's this, and it sounds all really great. And it's like, oh, like, can I read it? And it was like, oh, I've only got like 2 pages done, or I've only got like 1 page drawn or whatever, but it's like, he's like, you will be amazed at like how much opportunity you can find if you can show people that you can just finish a project. And whether that is a full comic, whether that is, even finishing a 2-page strip, like if you can show people that you can start something and finish something, and you're not an asshole to work with, you know, it's amazing how much opportunity you can find, because people will know that you can finish a project. And that, so like I would tell them, show up and finish something, whether that is, like I said, a cover. If you're just doing a cover for something, if you are shooting a 5-minute short, of a film, like if you can just
Right.
show that this is what I wanted to do and this is what I did and I finished it, it is you're going to feel so much better about yourself because you're like, oh, I can actually do this. Like I can do this. And then other people are going to go like, oh yeah, no, he made that thing, or you're like, oh yeah, they're the guy that did that thing, and you're going to have work out there to show. So like that's my advice. It's my turn to tell somebody else that, like, just show up
Right.
and finish something.
What opportunity did you get from doing that? Would you say?
What opportunity did I get?
Well, he said that you'd be amazed at what opportunities open up if you can just show that you finished something, right? So does any of that relate to you in particular?
Opportunity in the sense of like, yeah, like I've had stuff to take to shows. Like I've actually had work
There you
to
go.
shows, and
you're now tabling at shows.
Yeah.
That's your work.
And like
You completed something.
I've got a portfolio full of prints that I'm selling there, and I've got books and books that and on the table I have a book that I didn't do, but I did a variant cover for someone. So like,
very cool.
And then I met a guy at a show, and local guy to me, and we were talking, and it was his first show ever. It was my second show ever, and we were tabling across from each other. The guy's name is Brandon Cable, phenomenal artist. His book Rat Night, which is like a homage to like Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and like I ended up buying an original page of his book because like I thought it was that cool. But we were talking, and he was doing the second one, and we got to talking, and I did a variant cover for the second one, and he did a variant cover for my Finn Ankles book. So
awesome.
I've got the variant cover edition of his book on my table at the show this weekend, and I've got his variant of my book on the table too. So I mean, again, but like you don't get that unless it's like you can show people like, hey, like I can do this, and like here's my work. And so those are the opportunities, is like people feel comfortable like talking with you and looking at your stuff, and you have stuff to bring to places to show.
Right. See, and that was one of my holdbacks from going to shows at the moment was I don't have anything like, I guess I do have stuff done. I mean, this is 28 episodes in, which is crazy. Most podcasts don't make it past 20.
No.
So, they give up or whatever. But I mean, this will be later than that. But I mean, I released 26 yesterday. So 27 I'll release tomorrow.
Right on,
so,
man.
So I mean, we're in 7 or 8 months, we've done 28 episodes, which is pretty good. So
impressive.
Trying to do 2 a week. I'd like to get to 3 eventually, and it could happen, because I'm getting a lot more traction with, doing these interviews. I could probably get away with doing 2 of these a week. I'm going to hold for 1 a week right now and kind of build up a backlog, just to see. But in my mind, for some reason, I feel like if I go to a convention, I have to have something to sell, but I really don't. I could just advertise the podcast itself, right? But I'm like, well, I need to have a book, my own comic before I go. So I don't know. We'll see. I guess got to get off my butt and do it.
Do the show from the convention. Just have Panel Pete merch.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I could have that. It's all on, all on our links. I could buy some.
Right on.
I used to do that. I used to print shirts and stuff at conventions and dice trays, and I did a lot of mouse pad material type stuff. It was kind of crazy, but had heat press there. It was heat press and sublimating. It was crazy. I've done a lot in my life. It's crazy. That's why I love this podcast, because I was missing that entrepreneurial itch that I needed something to fill that. And this is doing a really good job of filling that itch for me. So I'm glad I'm doing it. So I think that was the advice to aspiring creators, right? Yeah, so we talked about that one. This is before we get to the fun questions.
All right.
What is something we need to talk about that we haven't talked about? We're gonna obviously we need to talk about where your books are available. Like, do you sell them online? Or?
No, I'm oddly a control freak about my stuff.
Okay.
So like I if somebody wants my books, I'm happy to get them one. They just need to like message me on Instagram or email me, and I'll just, we'll work out a payment, like if it's PayPal or whatever, and then I'll just send them one. If they want prints, I'll, I just kind of all goes through me. I'm a small operation, so yeah, like if I don't have a website, I don't have a store, I don't have any of that stuff. I just have a closet in my art room, and
Yeah, full of books.
yeah, and if if somebody wants one, I'm happy to send it out to them. And if somebody wants to talk to me about coloring something, commissioning something, doing a variant cover or something like that, just Instagram, email, just write to me.
So what does that look like? What does doing a variant deal look like?
It depends on who the person is. Like me and the guy Brandon that I mentioned, I mean, he's a struggling artist just like the rest of us. And so he's also a cool dude, so like I'm not gonna you know, try to like stick him or anything like that. The deal, the
Right.
deal that I had with him was like, hey, I'll do one for you, and just send me 10 copies of the book, that I can take to shows and put on the table. And he did one for me, and I sent him some copies of the book, and we put each other's credits in the book, and
Yeah.
it worked out like that. A lot of times, like the indie community, at least the people that I've gotten to know through Instagram, which is, there are just some gangsters out there that are doing some crazy, awesome work, and I could spend an hour just singing all their praises. um,
Right.
but like a lot of times it's like, and it kind of goes back to like not being an asshole. Like if you show you can do decent work and you're not difficult to work with, it's like, hey, if you want a pin up for the back of the book, let me know. Hey, if you want a variant cover, let me know. And a lot of times it's like, okay, just if you want to send me a couple copies and then we're square, and I will never turn down money for, but
Right.
I mean, but that's where like,
Well, that was an idea I had the other day. I was like, man, it'd be really cool. Like, if whenever I find an artist, if I end up finding an artist, obviously I want to pay them for their work, right? But I also want them to be able to make money on it after.
yeah,
So it's like, how do they do that? So I was thinking, is it acceptable? So if you were my artist and I paid you to do the artwork, but then you could buy the books at wholesale, right? Like at the cost of the
right.
book and sell them yourself, right? And then you're at least making money on it too, like you just said, having it at your table because you did some, variant cover of it or something. I think that's an awesome,
Yeah.
awesome way to look at it and do
Yeah.
it. So that's really cool. So to get your book, they got to message you on Instagram or go to a show that
Yeah.
you're at. How many shows do you do a year?
I try to be selective, just because,
Okay.
again, this isn't family and, like careers. And also like, it's not my job. It's not like how I support myself or my family. This is still very much like a hobby, and I love it. Like I enjoy doing it.
It's a hobby and it's your outlet, right?
Yeah.
It's your mental health
Yeah.
outlet.
So like tabling, I will probably maybe do one a year.
Okay.
Like I'm like I'm very selective in that, because I know how much time I don't have to put into it. I was
Right.
planning for this show for like a year, and because it's one that I've wanted to do for a long time, being my local show here in Connecticut. And
Is this the first time you're tabling
yeah,
there?
yeah.
Sweet.
So I'm gonna go through the jitters tonight while I'm packing up for it, and I mean, like, but again, I'm also very lucky in that, like, it's 20 minutes from my house. So, like, I pack up, set up, do the day, cover over, come home,
Come home.
go back. I'm not paying for hotel. I'm not
Yeah.
paying for airfare or anything like that.
Right.
And I get to come home at the end of the day. And, knowing.
Well, I've already been booked for one in Michigan next, like not Labor Day, Memorial
Oh,
Day
congrats.
next year. So that's like it's a friend of mine who does work for it. And I was like, hey, give me a media pass. He's like, I'll get you a booth. I'm like, okay,
Right.
that's a good goal. At least now it's on paper. I've done big shows. I've done shows before, not as a comic part,
Right.
but, in the gaming industry. But so I don't mind that part, but this gives me a good goal. I'm hoping I'll beat that goal and do it sooner.
Yeah.
But this gives me at least there's something on paper,
Yeah.
on the calendar. It gives you something to strive for, and it makes it real,
Yeah. So, like, yeah, like I table it like maybe one a year, but I'll go as like a patron to maybe like 2, maybe 3 a year, just to like bop around for the day, say hi to some people, but tabling probably like one a year.
And just usually your local ones up there.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll get you. I'll have to come to one of these days.
Right on.
That you're tabling at. I'll have to maybe by next year. All right. So we got all those questions out of the way. Is there anything else that we need to say or cover that we didn't talk about yet?
Maybe if we take some time to talk about stocks and bonds and diversifying portfolios and,
I am not the follow. No, I'm not going to say it.
No.
I was gonna make a very bad joke, but stocks and bonds. I have none of the above. I don't think so. I have a 401k, barely. I'm gonna work till the day I die.
Yeah.
But that's okay if I'm doing what I want to
Right
do.
on.
I don't mind.
Yeah.
That. So I'm very. That's why I got my day job that I'm do is.
Yeah.
They were a very small company. And my oldest daughter, started playing golf for them, or in their program. It's an academy to teach golf. And I fell in love with what they did, and they were very small. And then to be of help and help them grow. And now they're all big and corporate and crazy and
awesome.
But good for them. But I don't like the corporate stuff. It's too big.
Right.
I like doing my own thing.
Yeah. I get it, man.
Well, because do you own your own practice or your own business?
Yeah, I've been practicing on my own this is my 3rd year.
Sweet.
And
congrats.
Thanks. And I am never going back.
Right?
Never going back.
Doing your own thing. I mean, I've helped other people do it too, and just doing your own thing is where it's at, and that's where I'm hoping I can get this podcast too. Is just sustain. I don't need to be rich. I just need to sustain myself and eat good.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big boy. I need to eat. I got 2 kids to feed.
Right on.
So, well, one and a half. The other one's 24. She can feed herself.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, so let's do the fun questions.
Okay.
First off, and I'm added one. You gave me an idea for one earlier, and I wrote it down. So, what is your favorite current comic series?
My favorite current comic series?
Yeah.
What? Oh, my favorite current. I mean, I haven't been reading a lot of it, but I'm really liking the Absolute universe that DC is doing, and just taking these like sometimes like 80-year-old characters and just doing something completely different with them.
Issue 1 of the Absolute Batman, where Alfred gets shot. where he
Mhm.
shoots Alfred. I'm like, what is going on?
But, like,
that was crazy.
And it's also frustrating. Like, why did it take 80 years to be like, hey, let's make Bruce poor?
Right.
Like,
That was, yeah. I'm reading the Batman, the Wonder Woman,
yeah.
the Green Lantern. The only one I don't have yet or haven't read yet is the Superman one. The others I've been reading.
I mean, just taking those, what they've done and just flipping it on its head. And I'm like, that's cool. That is really cool.
The Wonder Woman's been really good. The Wonder Woman and Batman are my favorites so far. The Green Lantern's okay. I'm still trying to get into it. The Flash is getting better. Issue 1 of the Flash, I was like, I don't know, but it's getting better. The Martian Manhunter's kind of out there. I'm not smart. I may not be smart enough to read that book. It's kind of trippy. But yeah, those are the Absolute series for sure.
Yeah.
Very good. I agree. For sure. All right, cool. So what was your first favorite superhero?
Okay.
Far back as you can remember.
So
I know,
my first superhero, my first comic.
The comic's next. So first superhero.
First superhero, I have
superhero.
I have always been a Hulk fan.
Okay.
Like, just because, like, by definition, he's not a superhero. He's a tragic hero. He doesn't like what he is, and just again, like that psychology element of it. And I know it's gotten like way trippier, but I'm talking like just like classic Bruce Banner, Savage Hulk. This idea of like this thing in me that I don't like, I don't understand, it completely ruins my life. And like having to just learn to manage that. And I mean, like the symbolism of like the monster within us and what we're all capable of. And it, I just like, I always liked those, but I also always liked those big bruiser, characters. Like I always just enjoyed those characters. So like Hulk has always been like my favorite character, like ever, for all those reasons.
All right. So what about your favorite first, do you remember the first comic you ever read?
I do. It was,
all right. What is it?
It was Werewolf by Night #1.
Okay.
There was a little 5 and dime shop, like little hobby shop, card shop, down on the corner from my house. And it was where some of the local kids hung out. They had a pool table. They had some arcade games in the back. And, I've always liked monsters and, just stuff like that. And werewolves were always like my favorite, like, monster. And I remember they had some boxes of comics, and I remember like saying like, hey, do you guys like have any werewolf comics? And because I was like 7 or 8 and didn't know. And he's like, I don't know. He's like, you can look in these boxes, and he put up 3. I think they weren't long boxes. They were the short boxes.
Shorter boxes, yeah.
And I just started looking through them. And oddly enough, and I kid you not, like the last comic on the last box was Werewolf by Night #1. And at the time, it was 50 cents. At least that's the sticker he had on it. I didn't have 50 cents because I was 7. So I go home, talk to my mom, take the trash out a couple times. She gives me the 50 cents. I go back and I buy the comic. And then, got that, found the 2nd issue, found the 3rd issue. And then as you get older, you get rid of all your comics and stuff like that, or they get gotten rid of for you.
For you, yeah.
And then I remember I was at a show. Yeah. And you just cry because you see like the values of them now. And
all right, this is a point where if you want to see the rest of this episode, you have to subscribe and pay for the therapy session.
But that's what I'm getting to a little bit is like,
right.
I was at a show walking around. I think it was like a show in Massachusetts. I was just bopping around for the day. And I was like, you know what? Like, I want to buy that first comic because I've seen it, Like it's not this super rare thing, and like
Right.
and I went and like I know I paid 50 cents for that comic. There were people selling that same comic for like close to $100. I found it and I ended up paying $45 for it. And again, I'm not. It's not
Small
this.
markup.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And like I'm not looking, and it wasn't like a CGC like 9 point. Because again, it's
Right.
not like it's not this super rare comic. But I wanted it just for the nostalgic purposes, and I still have it in my room on my shelf. And but like, yeah, I paid
That's
50
awesome.
cents for that, and then I turn around and I'm paying almost $50 for it.
Wow. That's awesome. Let's see. If you could live in any comic book universe, which one would you choose?
I mean, like, there's no good answer to this.
There is, and it's not out yet, but the last episode I did, or no, actually it is out. That the episode I released yesterday. Uh he had a really good answer. He said peanuts. He was
Yeah.
like, nothing bad happens in Snoopy world.
No,
Like,
no, I mean, the worst case is like what, like Lucy picks up the football or
the
whatever.
football, right? Yeah. I
You
was
know?
like, I was shocked when he said that answer. I was like, I would have never thought about it because, like you, I was like, man,
Yeah.
none of them are good. Yours don't seem bad.
I
Your
mean,
universe,
there's monsters and stuff, and stuff happens. I mean, they're there. It's sort of like this, like under, like this world under the world, and every now and then it comes up, and you got to deal with it. And I don't know.
right?
Like, I would, I mean, I would say, yeah, either Peanuts or like maybe like just one of those like slice of life anime worlds or whatever, or I don't know, just like people figuring out daily life kind of stuff, like the Snoopy one, yeah, that maybe like Calvin and Hobbes or whatever,
Yeah,
something like that, just to avoid Gotham City and Metropolis.
yeah. I definitely don't want to live in Gotham or
No,
Marvel or the world's ending every other day.
yeah.
No, that's cool. All right, so if you could have any superpower, which I think you already have one, but
Oh,
if you
thank
could
you.
have any superpower, which would you choose?
Um, Probably. Uh, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm not very fast, so like super speed, maybe.
Okay.
Time manipulation feels too dicey. Probably like super speed. My wife would
Okay.
probably appreciate that.
That's awesome. Super speed. I love it.
All right.
All right. So if you could have a comic book character, any character that was your sidekick in life, which would it be? Who would it be?
Probably. I don't know. Superman feels too easy. I don't know. But the guy that said the Flash, that was. I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I can see that.
Right? Yeah. He's
Yeah,
like, yeah, the Flash. He could just get me out of the way and,
yeah,
go to handle business and I'm safe.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I kind of want to say like maybe like Doctor Strange or Doctor Fate or something, just because possibilities are kind of limitless.
Endless. That's yeah. I like that. All right. If your life were a comic book, what would the title be?
Um, I don't know. I'm toying between like two different titles that kind of come to mind. Like one is like wonderful absurdity, just because like yes, the world offers no shortage of things to complain about and be mad about and irritated by, and tons of negativity out there. But like every now and then, if you like able to kind of step back and like turn your head a little bit and like look at something or something going on, it's like, oh, like this is actually like not that the negativity or any of that's great, but like there are other things out there of like, oh, this is really cool. And there are people that can just laugh and have fun and not take everything so seriously and enjoy that little bit of absurdity in the world, that fun little absurdity. Or the other title would be like kind of like the first line from Neil deGrasse Tyson's book, Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. The first line in the book was just like, the universe is under no obligation to make sense to you.
That's really good.
I'd probably go with the second one.
Yeah, I like that. That's pretty good. Well, I really do think you have a superpower. You're helping people every day get better. So I think that's awesome. You've created an awesome story. You're doing the work. You're going to table more than one event a year. Maybe we'll get you there.
We'll try.
Build you a website. Start selling some books.
We'll make a plan to do one next year. We'll table the same.
There you go. We should do that. I
should.
think that's a brilliant plan. So you keep hounding me in Instagram and Messenger, and we'll make it happen.
Right on.
But I really appreciate you hanging out with me. It's been a great time.
Likewise.
Anything else to wrap it up?
No, I mean, I just thank you for the opportunity, man. Like,
Hey, no, thank you, guys. The community's been awesome.
In a world of heroes, villains, and epic stories,
Braha, Anakan, and their ultimate sidekick, Panel Pete, take you on adventures each week.
showing off their comic book hauls,
Fun trivia and games, honest reviews,
and inspiring conversations with creators and consumers who make it all possible.
join in on the conversation.
This is Talkin Comics.